Community Ambassador and also founding member of the Board of Military Families Fund. Please join me in welcoming none other than Max Keeping.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'm grateful for the privilege of being here this morning. And I'm also recognizing that you're all hungry. And you came for breakfast, not to hear speeches. When Brian and Eleanor said they were going to have this event, I just thought how wonderful. Because we've seen over the last 6, 7, 10 years how Canadians have come to embrace their military, have come to be in awe of the men and women of the forces, and to be so respectful and proud of the job that you do. And we see, I saw an elderly lady hold the door open for a couple of soldiers to go into a restaurant one day, and they didn't want to, they wanted to hold the door for her. She said, "No, I insist. I insist because I want to say thank you to you." And she represents Canadians from coast to coast to coast who recognize the job that you do today in some 20, 22, 23 countries of the world, as well as here at home on all of our 3 coasts. And Brian and Eleanor represent a community that you've seen by how this has come together today, a community that is embracing of you and grateful to you. A community and Canadians who recognize the sacrifices that your families make for the sacrifice that you make. And each and every Canadian would like to wrap their arms around you and to say thank you and to tell you how proud they are of the job you do. I happen to think that any person who chooses to go into the service of the public in a role in which their job is on the line every day of the year, 365 days of the year, and for all of their career, you are all heroes. And we have recognized now the heroism of the Canadian military. We recognize the professionalism that you carry across the globe. We recognize how well you represent us in the quest for democracy and freedom and human rights. And today is an expression of this community's support for you. And I thank you on behalf of my family, on behalf of families everywhere. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the way in which you carry out to the service of this country. We are so proud of you. Merci beaucoup. It is you who are honored here today. Thank you. I have to say that in a journalism career that lasted over 50 years, the most poignant moment of my life, and I've met rulers and monarchs, presidents. The most poignant moment of my life was to have been in Kandahar on Christmas Day in 2006 and to have helped in some small way to say thank you to the men and women who were serving there. I have to tell you, we were all Newfoundlanders. Okay, we had a rock band from Quebec, but the rest of us were Newfs. Rick Mercer, Mary Walsh, and I did say to them, before we went out, because I was playing my Bob Hope role, and I'm saying, you've never played in front of a group like this. There's 1,000 of them out there. Oh, by the way, they had their first 2 beers in 3 months. And they've all got a gun beside them. You better be funny. But it was a very poignant moment, and I didn't sleep over the days we were there. And the day before, on Christmas Eve, we had went out on the Sea King helicopter. Brave man I am. Went out on the Sea King helicopter to land on HMCS Ottawa, and there the members of the ship had collected over $5,000 to be donated to CHIO, which they had chosen as their charity for that year. And but the poignancy of the men and women who were there, and at one point I walked up to an officer and I said, "Merry Christmas, sir," and he said, "Oh, is it Christmas Day yet?" And I realized the dedication of everybody there representing each and every member of the service. And so I have seen that, and it is an honor to work on your behalf with the Military Families Fund, set up by General Hillier to ensure that in an emergency, you didn't have to go through the bureaucracy, that in an emergency, no matter what time of day, any time of day, we could be able to respond to you. I have to say that, you know, the current hockey situation has robbed me of the best story that I have, because, you know, today, Ottawa, at 2 p.m., Ottawa and Edmonton are playing in the toilet bowl. That's what we're calling the battle for last place today. But one of the wonderful moments was in 2007 when the Stanley Cup was taken to Kandahar, and that day, next to Tim Hortons, there, the officers and the men had a hockey game, and the men won. And one of the young men walked up to Hillier. The kid was a Newfoundlander. Only the Newfoundlander would be brazen enough to say it. But he walked up, "Sir," he said, "you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, aren't you?" And Hillier said, "Yes." He said, "Why do you ask?" He said, "Sir, you know the Stanley Cup here today? The Taliban are closer to it than the Maple Leafs are ever going to get to it." Unfortunately, today I'd have to add the Senators too. But thank you so much. I'm not going to delay breakfast any longer. But please know that Canadians are so proud of you. Canadians do recognize the job you have to do. Canadians do recognize how well trained you are, how well equipped you are, and that you carry the Canadian flag from one end of the planet to the other. And that Canadians are behind you day in, day out. You make us so proud to fly our flag. Thank you so much. Bon appetit.